Firstly, this is a show of strength from the Prime Minister. This is in tandem with Liz Truss, who's in Moscow today. This is sending a message to Mr. Putin, is it not?
Yeah, it's a balancing act. So what you have with Liz Truss and then tomorrow with the Defence Secretary Ben Wallace in Moscow is a diplomatic arm of what is happening in terms of trying to diffuse the situation. What you've got with Boris Johnson, of course, meeting with NATO and then going to Poland to inspect those British forces that are in Poland at the moment, is that more assertive approach, that determination to have support for the NATO allies in that region. And on the back of that, of course, there is this commitment now for, it seems, a doubling of UK forces in Estonia as part of this battle group. They are the lead for NATO battle group in Estonia. Also, of course, we have the aircraft carrier, the supercarrier HMS Prince of Wales and its battle group. That is now actually an aircraft carrier that is assigned to NATO for the next few months at least as the NATO-ready battle group. So that's going up into the area around Norway for cold response, I think it's called, the exercise there. There are other Royal Naval assets that are heading to the Eastern Mediterranean. They are going to enhance the number of Typhoon fighter aircraft that are going to Romania as part of the air policing operation there. So, interestingly, and you know, from the Russian point of view, as was pointed out by Jens Stoltenberg there, the Russians are, of course, very concerned about what they see as the eastward expansion of NATO. But what you've got, because of the build-up of Russian forces on the Ukrainian border, is the counteract from NATO members of more NATO forces going into that region. So it's rather self-defeating.
And primarily the United Kingdom. I was pretty surprised when I heard Boris, in a more cogent way than we've heard the Prime Minister for many weeks now, list all of those places that the British armed forces are in. You named some of them there, but I heard Norway, Estonia, Poland, Cyprus, Romania, the Black Sea, HMS Prince of Wales, of course, Air Force, Navy, Army, hundreds more people. It sounds like Britain is really getting stuck in.
Yeah, there is no doubt that the UK and the US are leading the NATO response here to Russia, to countering Russia. Other NATO members to a lesser extent, but absolutely no one can dispute. I think that the United Kingdom and the United States are there at the forefront of these efforts to send this very clear message to Vladimir Putin that they will be there. They're sending, don't forget, they're not sending military personnel to fight alongside Ukraine, but we've sent 100 military personnel into Ukraine to train them in the use of weapons, armaments. We are sending them in terms of anti-tank missiles and the like. So to that extent, you know, they're helping as much as they can Ukraine, but Ukraine, of course, is not a NATO member. But the NATO members in that region, understandably, very concerned about what's happening with Russia and knowing that any conflict would spill out onto their borders. It would be a humanitarian crisis. So they need that reassurance, that support. That's what they're getting from
And that's why the Prime Minister
allies.
is heading off to Poland later today. We'll be following that very closely.